This conference will now be recorded.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Outlook. This time, the Outlook, I'm going to present the knowledge series. Previously, in the past few weeks, I have in the Outlook, we have presented Outlook chapters in which we have seen various stocks and indexes, commodities of what we're going to expect in the next week or so. But today it's a little different. The tech stocks around the world have been falling quite a bit due to various reasons in the past, India as well, in the past few weeks. So today I'm going to look at tech stocks and the tech indexes and see what are the factors affecting this fall. What do I expect in the future? So the topic is tech stocks, how low is too low. So I mean, it's a belief that they have already fallen quite a bit, and can they fall any further, or is some sort of a bounce is expected? But in tech stocks, we are not just going to look at Nifty IT index and a few stocks. So this time it's a little different. It's more of a, you can learn a lot through this video. So it's more of an education video, although it will tell you what I am expecting in the next few weeks, 2 months, maybe next week as well. But moreover, it's to look at the broader picture. So we are not looking at just a few stocks or supports and resistances, targets and stop losses. Rather, we're going to look at the overall scenario of the sector, because if the sector bottoms out or bounces, most of the stocks will bounce as well. Some might bounce a little bit more, some might bounce a little less comparatively, but overall the impact will be on all the stocks. So without wasting much time, I'll start the Outlook knowledge series. Tech stocks, how low is too low? So first of all, I'll look at the Indian IT sector, the tech sector, just an overview of, if for audience who don't know about it. So just some few factors or some key highlights on how big, how large the sector is, and if one is expecting the India growth story, if one is expecting long-term outperformance of Indian stocks, then it cannot happen without the tech sector. So if one expect Nifty to cross say 18,000 and go towards 19,000 higher, it will be hard for tech sector to keep on falling or not to perform. So and if you believe in India story for the next many years, then the tech sector, the IT sector is such a large component in the overall economy that it can't happen without it. So a uh, few things about the Indian IT sector. If you look at the GDP, so the IT sector contributes toward 8% of India's GDP. By 2025, this number is expected to rise to 10%. So 8% is already the GDP number, the contribution, and that can increase by expected number is 10%, and the GDP itself will grow. And in the growth story, the contribution can grow even higher. Revenue presently, $227 billion revenue in FY 2022, which is 15% year-on-year growth. Although stocks have fallen, but the last financial year, the revenue has grown. Although the outperformance depends upon various factors, but this cannot be negated. Exports, FY22 export of IT sector stood at $149 billion, which is quite a large number. Employment, if you look at employment, how many people do the IT companies, big and small, employ? So, IT companies employ more than 5 million people in the country. If we look at through the lens of the foreign direct investment, the IT sector, which is software and hardware, attracted FDI worth $86 billion, which is so overall. Again, as I said, if you expect India to grow, And if you expect the country to keep on growing and the numbers that we are clocking on the GDP front, on the FDI front, you cannot ignore the IT sector. Moving forward, the main components in the technology IT sector, that is TCS, one of the largest companies in India. Then Infosys, these two have been around since I don't know how long. Then LTI, and this is also a large IT company. Mindtree, LTI and Mindtree are expected to get merged together to become even larger company. Then Persistent Technologies, HCL, Tech Mahindra, Happiest Minds. These are some few names. And there are a lot of other companies, Wipro and some other, which form this large sector, the IT sector, with large companies. Although all of these companies in the past couple of months, or I won't say couple of months, some outperformance in between, but overall they have been falling for a few months and are making have fallen quite a bit from the top as compared to what Nifty or other companies have done. Some of them have made new all-time highs, but this sector is lagging. So that's the reason why this video is being made, to see where we stand, because this is one of the very few sectors which have not performed, and maybe it offers an opportunity for all of us to invest or to trade in it. We look at NASDAQ. This is the chart of NASDAQ. If you see NASDAQ, is from 2020, it has rallied. It has made quite a blockbuster kind of rally, which almost all the sectors or indices have done. So you see from 2000, from the start of 2020 till the end of 2021, it has been a consistent rally, which is around 144% from the lows made. Since then, the index has been, or the overall sector, IT sector in the US, this is NASDAQ, the US index for IT, it has corrected almost 35%. As you can see the figure here, that's almost corrected 35% after rallying 144%. So still there is 59%. We are above that level from what we were in 2020, but in itself it has been a large fall. So as I said in the beginning, it is not only about the Indian markets or Indian IT tech stocks, because they're all correlated with each other. India market major business come from the European and the US markets, which it in itself is correcting, especially the IT index. So yeah, so this kind of a trend is visible in almost all the IT stocks around the world, this being the largest, which comprises of Facebook, Twitter, stocks like Twitter, Apple, all the large IT companies of the US is in this index. Interestingly, this is the volatility of NASDAQ. If you see that, the volatility is not that, I mean, it's not gone crazy like you can expect it with volatility. अगर आप I'll do it in Hindi and English for both the audience. So अगर आप इसको NASDAQ देखें तो जब ये rise किया उसके बाद when it fell, वो एक fall काफी fast fall है continuous, but आप उसमें you expect कि volatility भी बढ़ेगी, you know, कि volatility बहुत ज़्यादा increase कर गई होगी. But if you see here, volatility is still in control. You know, if you see here in 2020, although that was an event, इसका हम comparison ठीक नहीं है, पर उसके बाद अगर आप देखें volatility अभी भी control में है, और जब ये अब ये जो fall आ रहा है, इसमें कोई major volatility में increase नहीं है. और ये जो this image that you are seeing, this is the zoomed up image of यहाँ पे जहाँ मेरा cursor है. So you see it has on Friday, it has already, you know, it's a negative bar for volatility. So volatility expand नहीं हुई, although NASDAQ ने भी थोड़ा सा reversal दिया, but volatility contract हुई है, नीचे को आई है. So which is weird, you know. one should expect key volatility. So it's not that bad. This is what I'm trying to say, that the volatility is not increased. It has fallen, but the volatility in itself, this is the volatility of NASDAQ. So in itself has not gone haywire. This is volatility of NASDAQ versus the VIX index. So the volatility of NASDAQ, the symbol is VXN, and the VIX, all VIX, that's the US VIX index. So you see here the the volatility is the same as the S&P 500. So there's nothing, because when you think about it, most people think that NASDAQ or the tech stocks are getting all the beating, whereas other stocks are not. But US indices are also falling, rest of the indices apart from this Nifty में ज़्यादा major tech contribution. Yeah, if you look at it, you might feel that tech has gone the brunt of selling, whereas rest of the stocks are not, or the volatility is higher in tech stocks as compared to others. But यहाँ पे हम देखते हैं कि it's that's not the case. यहाँ पे विक्स आउट परफॉर्म कर रही है. लाइट ब्लू कलर की जो लाइन चार्ट है वो उसके अंदर ये विक्स है और ये नीचे वाली VXN है. तो यहाँ पे अगर आप इधर देखें तो VXN usually it outperforms VIX. No, I won't say usually, but it does because it's more volatile comparatively. यहाँ भी आप देखें इसने इसको outperform किया, यहाँ भी outperform किया, almost outperform किया, but यहाँ पे underperform कर रही है. But the overall index is fallen, and we in our minds we feel that the NASDAQ is getting, so it's not that bad. That's what I'm trying to say. And as compared to VIX versus VXN and versus the NASDAQ, how it's fallen. So it's not that bad. So it can be taken as a normal correction rather than something that has changed. हम बात करेंगे क्या factors हैं जिससे ये चीजें ये हुआ है या हो रहा है, but it's not out of the box thing. It is a normal correction that is taking place. That's what I'm trying to share here. ये IT Nifty IT index है, कंपोनेंट्स हमने डिस्कस किए. उसमें इन्फोसिस है, HCL टेक, विप्रो, TCS, LTI, माइंडट्री टाइप स्टॉक्स हैं जो इसके कंपोनेंट हैं. तो सेम जैसे हमने नैस्डैक में चार्ट देखा था 2020 के स्टार्ट से 144% का राइज है, एंड निफ्टी आईटी में 259% का राइज है. यहाँ आप देखें, और वहां से हम ऑलमोस्ट 34% करेक्ट कर चुके हैं. तो यहाँ से 34% की करेक्शन यहाँ हो चुकी है और अभी भी 138% के गेन पे हम हैं. सो अगर हम आउट परफॉर्मेंस को देखें, यहाँ पे हमने 34% करेक्ट किया है, NASDAQ में 35, which is, so the correction wise we are almost same. 35% है लोएस्ट पॉइंट पे, और NASDAQ उससे ऊपर है. निफ्टी आईटी जो है वो उसके लो के पास है और कल शायद लो को टच भी कर जाए मंडे को. सो दैट इज it is almost, the correction is almost same, but the rise was more. Here in NASDAQ it was 144%, here it's 259%. So almost same. I mean, rise was different, but the fall is almost same. So we are in line with how the US market has done, and we have seen जब भी NASDAQ क्रैक करता है तो स्टॉक्स, IT स्टॉक्स काफी लोअर एंड पे ही ओपन होते हैं इंडियन मार्केट्स के अंदर. सो इन लाइन विद व्हाट US has done already. This chart is an interesting chart, which is NASDAQ Composite Index. Percentage fall from previous stock market peak, पिछली peak से previous. So percentage fall 0% से लेके 80% तक. So from, if suppose if the something is at 100 at the top, how much did it fell afterwards? So यहाँ पे दो आपको बड़े, these are two large falls that you are seeing, actually three. One is the 1970s. So this was in the 70s, the NASDAQ fell 60% from its peak, right? And then in 2002, the dot-com crash, 80%. From the 2022, it's almost 80%. Sorry, from 2008 or 9, that's the Lehman crisis again. इस चार्ट को अगर हम देखें, if you compare this, we might feel that अभी 2022 we have just crashed 30%. यहाँ पे जब ये चार्ट है तब 30%, now we have come around 35%. which is roughly here. अगर जहाँ मेरा cursor है, this one around 88, 89 में 30%, 35%. अब ये यहाँ पे हम 35%, which I showed you in this chart that we have the lowest is 35%. तो अगर आप इसको देखें, when you see this, we cannot compare these. This is not the same because scenario was different. .com, in the .com, at the bubble time, the NASDAQ, the .com crash, the valuation were way extreme as compared to what it was in the peak of 2022. When Lehman happened, that was a different event. That was a event that a black swan event which caused something to the whole system to collapse. 70s were different, but if you compare it with the what do you call the COVID crash, which around here, यहाँ पे जहाँ मेरा cursor है, there you might still we have done more, so we have overextended that. But like this chart, you might feel that although that this is corrected 80%, you might feel that we can reach there. Almost, I mean, anything can happen. But if those were different scenarios, this was a systemic kind of a risk. This was a crash from crazy valuations, so we cannot compare. Although, but if you see from 82s, 87s, 91s, 98s, and 2020s, these are the extremes. These can be the outliers, 1, 2, 3, but these are the last extremes. So we are already at a very extreme point. From 35% we bounced, now we might be around this level, but we are already at an extreme. So it's an interesting chart, but because if you see it just like that, you might look at these, but these were different scenarios. This was life-changing kind of events, but this is different. We are coming out of, even COVID didn't fall that much, so there's something to think about. The more major culprit जिसको कहा गया है कि what's the reason कि that has been inflation जो cause हुई supply line disruptions पहले COVID से दुनिया सारी बंद हो गई, उसके बाद जब वो खुला तो सप्लाई लाइन के इश्यूज रहे, उसके बाद यूक्रेन रशिया का वॉर, और अब ताइवान और चाइना में जो प्रॉब्लम चल रही है वो, all of that is creating supply line pressures and some other factors which has increased inflation throughout the world. So I'll just read it and then I'll discuss about it. As mentioned before, when inflation is high, interest rates on loans go up. जब inflation ज़्यादा होती है तो central banks interest rates increase करते हैं, making it more expensive for companies to borrow and spend money. As loans get costlier, the cost of capital, equity plus debt for companies increases. Hence, the projected cash flows are valued lower. Since the valuation of equity stock is done by a discounted project cash flow DCF method, it will result in lower equity valuation as the discounting rate has gone up. Companies that have a high level of debt suffer the most during this period. If you want to read it again, just pause the video and read this all slowly. It will start making sense for you. The main thing is that inflation causes high inflation, as I discussed, because of supply line issues, has made the interest rates go higher, making it more expensive for companies to borrow. If it gets more expensive, companies might halt their product expansions and all of these things. People will it will become difficult for people to keep on consuming things because it's expensive. So it becomes harder, and that has an effect on the overall markets. All of these headwinds cause investors to rotate out of tech stocks and towards financials, consumer staples, and industrial companies, which often better perform in a stable economy with elevated interest rates. तो जब inflation बढ़ती है, interest rate बढ़ता है, tech stock से लोग exit करते हैं towards more stable kind of scenarios, because tech stocks का dividend कम होता है, growth story है, but because it becomes interest rates increases, because of inflation growth कम होगी, तो लोग tech stocks में sell off आता है और दूसरे stocks stable हो जाते हैं, and which we are seeing inflation increasing, tech stocks are falling. Hence, inflation creates an environment in which central banks need to increase interest rate. Hence, interest rates in stocks, mainly tech stocks, have negative relations. So main point क्या है इसका कि जब inflation causes interest rate increases, which causes, so इसका opposite relation है, negative relationship है. आप अगर interest rate बढ़ेंगे तो tech stocks गिरेंगे, growth stocks mainly, but because हम tech stocks की बात करें तो हम उसको will focus on that only. Hence that is the one relationship that I want to prove in this. What is causing it? What is causing it is increase in inflation causing interest rates, and interest rate is causing, and we are in a high interest rate scenario in which और जब inflation का number ज़्यादा आता है, when inflation number comes as a higher number like it came last week, then stock market falls because market is expecting central banks to increase rates. So last paragraph में inflation का number ज़्यादा आया, central banks को interest rates increase करने का, they want to increase the interest rate, market expects, market falls, hence a negative relationship. अगर inflation का number comparatively cool off हो तो interest rate hike का खतरा कम होगा, the risk of interest rate hike decreases, and the stocks will outperform. This is one factor which is very important, and that is why I wanted to prove this to you. So ये एक चार्ट है interest rate versus tech stock जो हमने या growth stocks, जिस we are talking about tech stock, but they are also called growth stocks. So what I told you in the last slide, it is proven in this chart. So I'll read it and then we'll see the chart. Rising interest rate tend to hurt growth stocks, as we have discussed, and more specifically tech stocks due to their high price to earning ratios. Usually tech stocks have high PE ratio and low dividend payment because you expect them to grow faster. So they don't pay much dividends. TCS does, although, but most tech stocks don't, but you expect higher growth from them. Higher rate can slow down businesses. Higher rates means interest rates can slow down businesses, cash flows, and stunt their reinvestment into innovation and growth. Because IT is all based on innovation and on growth. These are growth companies. They have to invest in this. So because higher rates can slow down the businesses, so that is why it is. So if you see the negative correlation की जो हमने बात की, तो ये NASDAQ composite जैसे 10-year yield, जैसे जैसे interest rate कम हो रहे हैं, NASDAQ जा रही है. Exact perfect relation, there is never a perfect relation, but it an overall structure के अंदर you can see as this interest rate starts to rally here, यहाँ से NASDAQ की outperformance कम हो गई है, rally slow हो रही है, and eventually जब ये breakout किया यहाँ से, where my cursor is, if you draw a trend line, when it break out, or you can larger trend line, when it breaks out, this is a top of the this is the top of NASDAQ, and from there NASDAQ has been falling, and in the last, if you see this V and this opposite V, this is perfect opposite negative relationship between both the indices, which proves a point that interest rate has a negative relationship. This is US 10-year bond. This has opposite US 10-year bond and NASDAQ. This is the opposite relationship. You can easily see in this one. A little bit about correlation, because I want to add one more component into it. अभी हमने बात की interest rates versus your, what do you call, NASDAQ or the IT index, Nifty IT or NASDAQ. Then now we'll talk about one more component I want to add, but just a little bit about correlation, just for anyone who doesn't understand correlation. Correlation statistic, अगर आपको इसके बाद you can pause the video and read it once again. A correlation statistic, it used to determine whether two things are positively correlated, they both go up. So if one goes up, the other goes up. You know, जैसे IT index के अंदर सारे stocks positively correlated है. एक stock ऊपर जाता है, दूसरा भी जाता है. Yes, the percentage can be different, but all go up together. Or uncorrelated, they trade independent of each other. अनकोरिलेटेड होता है कि कोई भी रैंडम सेक्टर कि अगर आज फॉर एग्जांपल सीमेंट चला है तो जरूरी नहीं है कि आईटी चलेगा, इनके आपस में कोरिलेशन नहीं है, यू नो, आई मीन यस इफ निफ्टी गोज अप everything goes up, but that's not always the case. Or negatively correlated, one goes up, the other goes down, which means that if one goes up, the other goes, which we proved in the interest rate versus your interest rate versus the NASDAQ part. A value closer to +1 represent positive correlation, closer to 0 means uncorrelated, and as the number approaches -1, assets are negative correlated. So there is never one, never -1. In between chalta hai. So it's maximum -1 to +1, but exact number nahi hai, probability ki tarah. So a report from CoinDesk showed that for almost all of 2021, abhi 22 chal raha hai, all of 2021, Bitcoin remained within a range of -0.2 to 0.2. मतलब as I told you 1 to -1 के बीच में है, तो -0.2 से 0.2 के बीच में Bitcoin रहा versus S&P 500, gold and the US dollar and bonds. So इन चारों के इस रेशियो में रहा. A value between the range of -0.2 and 0.2 indicates that they are largely uncorrelated. नीचे की value है. But what changed? But times have changed. Market conditions are becoming less focused on growth. Both the CoinDesk report and data from Blockchain Center shows that Bitcoin started to become correlated to the NASDAQ. ये हम देख रहे हैं पिछले कुछ महीनों से, since the start of year of 2022. The 90-day correlation between them grew from 0.2 to 0.6, fairly strongly correlated. तो अभी हमने लास्ट जब हमने बात की तो इंटरेस्ट रेट वर्सेस नैस्डैक की बात की, तो हमने एक और फैक्टर बीच एक और एडिशन कर दिया है, वो है बिटकॉइन, जो कि नैस्डैक के साथ चलता है, अब चलता है अभी प्रेजेंटली 0.6, which is fairly strong correlation the 90-day period की, जो मैं वो 0.6 पे है. इसका मतलब ये है कि Bitcoin or NASDAQ now are moving almost same way. So अगर आप, why I'm putting this, one might ask कि इसकी जरूरत क्या है, but why I'm putting this is when you do your analysis, when you see just one index, it doesn't give you the good picture. आप उस पे ट्रेंड लाइन, जैसे हम नॉर्मल एक चार्ट देखते हैं उसमें हम ड्रॉ करते हैं ट्रेंड लाइन, जो भी आप जौन सी भी स्टडीज यूज करते हैं, तो इफ यू सी दैट इट वोंट गिव यू अ गुड पिक्चर. यू हैव टू सी आउट ऑफ द बॉक्स व्हाट आर द components that is affecting the structure and उस component का बाकी components क्या कर रहे हैं, तब आपको एक better picture मिल जाएगी कि overall sector कहाँ से reverse करेगा और कहाँ पे currently है. That is the aim of all of this, bringing it all in here. एक पेपर है जिसका मैं लिंक ये नीचे है, पर लिंक मैं वीडियो में शेयर कर दूंगा. ये इस टाइम पे, so this is not new that this correlation factor of 0.6, ये नया नहीं है, अब ये ज्यादा एविडेंट हो गया. बट अब अगर देखें तो इस पेपर के अंदर नैस्डैक, निके और बिटकॉइन को कंपेयर किया है. एक टाइम पे निके used to be very volatile, now I mean previously, now and then NASDAQ is as volatile, Bitcoin is the most volatile, but the way it is moving, Bitcoin price surged and fell more dramatically than NASDAQ or Nikkei. इस पेपर में इन्होंने प्रूव किया Bitcoin is comparatively more volatile. Why I have put here is to show you that in a way there it's not a new correlation. At that time जब ये पेपर लिखा गया तो इस Bitcoin का हाई था 18,500 I guess, something like that, but now it has gone way higher. ये पुराना पेपर है, but why I'm put, if you want to read it, I'll put the link in the in the section of the video, but this is the link, although I'll put it in there, don't worry about it. But the main aim is to tell you the correlation पहले भी exist करता था, अब for the, so ये component अब ज़्यादा हो गया है. कितनी देर रहेगा we don't know, but when you are analyzing NASDAQ, when you're analyzing tech stock, analyze interest rates as well, analyze Bitcoin as well, then you will get a complete picture. I hope it makes sense. This is NASDAQ versus Bitcoin. If you see, that is what the 0.6 correlation factor, you see how it's just like exact move, if you see that, you know. The fall from 50,000 for Bitcoin, this is on the Bitcoin is on this side and NASDAQ is on this side. So fall from 50,000 from Bitcoin roughly to 14,500. The fall has been almost identical. You see, although this might be a little different, but almost, that's why the factor is 0.6, not 1. I mean, not 0.9. Here might the factor, if you see this fall is almost identical, a factor of 0.85 to 9, maybe less or more, but here it's a little different. But still, if you see, if you track it, if you can find reversal in one, you will find reversal in this as well. So you can trade Bitcoin and NASDAQ on a reversal, or you can go short both of them together. Likewise, there are multiple ways to manage it, but the aim is to this is the education series of Outlook. What I'm trying to prove here is that yahan pe you can when you are doing your analysis, look at various other factors as well. सिर्फ breakout breakdowns को नहीं check करना, सिर्फ oscillator एक one dimension में नहीं देखना. You look at other, especially in indexes, in commodities, जहाँ पे various factors impact करते हैं. That will help you in your improving your analysis. ये थोड़ा सा पहले का चार्ट है. तो आप देखें जब नैस्डैक जब से स्टार्ट हुआ 11,000 से 16,000 तक, और अब जो अभी का करंट ये है नैस्डैक 11,448, इस चार्ट पे 19,575 बिटकॉइन जो करंट चार्ट है ऑलमोस्ट सेम. तो तभी 0.6 का है, एग्जैक्टली 1 का नहीं. बट जब फॉल्स, इफ यू सी द फॉल्स, they are almost identical, almost, but very high correlation. So you have this is BTC 21 and NASDAQ dollar and NASX, ये symbols हैं. अब Nifty IT, NASDAQ versus Nifty IT. Again, this is a relative chart. NASDAQ, you see almost identical. तो अगर NASDAQ में fall आएगी तो Nifty में भी आएगी. Percentage wise का difference है, but trend का difference नहीं है. So if you see, this is to find the trends. So if you see, these are identical trends, same trends, same trends. The fall and the rise. Yes, at times one might outperform other for a little period, but cannot go opposite, because reason उसका क्या है? Because most of the Indian companies, be it TCS, Infosys, Wipro, HCL Tech, LTI, LTTS, your Happiest Minds, Persistent Technologies, and others, they have most of the business, a lot of business, I won't say most, but a huge portion, large portion of the business comes from the US. So that's why it's identical. If there's a slowdown in the US, there's a slowdown in the tech stocks as well. If there's a boom in US, so there's a boom in IT stocks as well, and they are dependent upon the dollar as well. So this is NASDAQ versus Nifty IT. It's showing is complete correlation with each other. They're highly correlated because same sector, same kind of companies, same kind of workspace, everything is same. I mean, dollar denomination, structures, projects, and everything coming from the US and Europe so they're correlated markets. So when you are doing your Nifty IT, look at NASDAQ, look at Bitcoin, look at 10-year interest rate. So that's important. This is another chart, USD JPY, which is very important. I won't go into detail about, I'll make another video, नहीं तो ये video बहुत लंबा हो जाएगा. USD और Japanese yen का जो है, और डे डॉलर इंडेक्स है वर्सेस IT. पहले मैंने पिछले चार्ट में मैंने डिफरेंस दिया था इंटरेस्ट रेट्स वर्सेस नैस्डैक कंपोजिट का. अब तीन और अब ये IT, निफ्टी IT और नैस्डैक तो हमने लास्ट में भी चेक किया. लास्ट चार्ट में दे मूव आइडेंटिकल, व्हिच इज शोइंग हियर एज वेल. But what opposite to that, DXY dollar index and USD JPY. So ये दो major indicators हैं. So what I mean by that, why I have put this chart here, is when the USD JPY will make a top and DXY will make a top, it's very likely that maybe on the same day or a week or sometime soon, Nifty IT and NASDAQ will make a bottom. Right, makes sense. Again, I'll say it. When USD JPY and DXY will make a top or are overbought or making a reversal, then you can expect reversal into Nifty IT and NASDAQ as well. Very important for you to understand this relationship, and that is showing where the IT is making a down move, DXY and JPY are making an up move. So very important. This is a little cluttered, but if you go back, you will continuously zoom in the chart and you will see the relationship. Sometimes, as I said, correlations हमेशा correlation का मतलब ये नहीं है कि जिस दिन USD JPY ने टॉप लगाया उसी दिन NASDAQ ने बॉटम लगाएगा. Doesn't work that way. It can sometime, it can maybe 2 days earlier, 2 days later. ऐसा ही relationship S&P 500 crude में है. अब थोड़ा वो relationship has changed because of the Ukraine war and different factors, but आप जाके देखें US S&P 500 और crude के अंदर भी ऐसा ही relationship है, but exact timing का थोड़ा सा gap रहता है that you have to take into account when you're doing your analysis. So it's good. It is good to look at these assets to see where we are. So just looking at Nifty IT or NASDAQ index will not show a complete picture. As I said, अगर आप NASDAQ को ही देखेंगे या Nifty IT को एक इंडेक्स को on its own देखेंगे तो आपको एक complete clear picture नहीं नजर आएगी. आपको उसके components जो उस पे असर डालते हैं, those components which has its effect on the overall movement of these indexes or these stocks. That you also have to look, that we have discussed: Bitcoin, USD JPY, DXY, interest rates, Nifty IT or NASDAQ, though they are totally correlated, almost fully correlated with each other, almost. There is never a one correlation. So this you have to. So I'll look at a few charts now of these where these are. So let's look at dollar index. This is the ribbon that you have seen multiple times in my videos. So यहाँ से bounce आया. When I posted once, I posted that dollar index can go to 115 to 20. People laughed at me here that it will be crazy, but that's a reality. Now it has happened. So ये जो है areas, these bars here, 1, 2, 3. These are model targets which are my proprietary tools. Every time it hits, there is a correction. You can see it happened here. Only one bar came above. अब एक यहाँ पे है और कल की बार जो है, जो लास्ट बार है, यहाँ से ही ऑलमोस्ट नीचे आई है. एक ऊपर का टारगेट अभी भी पेंडिंग है. There's one target which remains, which might or might not come for the time being. So dollar index is near the top. If there's another large up move, it can go from 109 to 114, which is still a probability, but the main model is saying that that's it for the time being. So dollar index is at a topping formation, right? But there is a thin probability, small probability, that there's one more high towards 114 is pending, but the topping signals are starting here. So dollar index के लिए, dollar index क्या है? This works opposite, negative correlation to the IT tech stocks. This is the dollar index. USD JPY, again same model, same ribbon, breakout. ये मॉडल का पहला टारगेट, ये थोड़ा सा ज्यादा वॉलेटाइल है. USD JPY सेकेंड मॉडल से थोड़ा सा ऊपर पर ज्यादा नहीं जा पाया. It crossed the model target but not able to sustain, crossed the model target, not able to sustain. Now we are here. This is also a model target. JPY seems to be done. We can expect a fall towards 130. I don't know. It can come this week. It can come next 1 month or 2 months. That can happen. It can consolidate here, a little bit of bounce and then come back. But topping signals are here. So let's see. So these two, which have a negative correlation, DXY and USD JPY, they both are toppy, right? So that's some kind of I'll say good news. I won't say good news, but something to think about. Then is the Nifty IT index. IT index NASDAQ से थोड़ा ज़्यादा weak है. As you see, falling trend line, buy signal only above this. This is a consolidation. We are at the lower end of the range. अगर ये break कर गया, this is going to be bad news. I think it can either stop here, break and give a false sell signal, trap people, and then come up. This is my personal opinion. I might be totally wrong in this, but so for me, there are two scenarios. I'll show you a closer view in the next one. So you see here stochastic. This is a stochastic oscillator. This is giving a positive kind of divergence, negative divergence near the previous low. So this is how the Nifty IT index is looking. We'll take a closer look here. This is a closer look without the oscillator. So if you see here, it has once made a reversal bar, another reversal bar just broke. Now we are coming towards here. This is the support area, and under it, there is my support area of 26220. So what can happen? One, this is the two scenario I'm looking. As I said, I can be completely wrong, but this is what I expect. So let's hear it out. So there are either it opens tomorrow here and reverses, I mean small reversal bar 2 or 3 days and then starts moving higher, or it breaks this, goes under this, but still closes on in, or maybe stays under for a couple of days and then goes in for a trap, because a lot of people are expecting this to collapse. So this is the two scenarios I'm looking at. If I can be completely wrong, but as I told you, I JPY, DXY looking little hot on the upside. They are a little overstretched on the upside. Model targets are done. Lower end Nifty ITs is a support. Bitcoin is a little bit in between the place. Still can go either way. So, but has a correlation. So this is something to watch out for. So it's an outlook. So I'll read it for you. Perhaps one really is witnessing the initial stages of bubble busting. So bubble busting here means कि जो आपका ग्रोथ स्टोरी लार्जर स्केल पे वो शायद अब उतनी ज्यादा ना रहे. After all, episodes of stock market bubbles are clearly identified only in retrospect, as recognized by Sir Isaac Newton when he himself was enmeshed in the South Sea bubble, lamenting that he could calculate the motions of heavenly body but not the madness of people. So I mean, if you haven't heard about it, search for Sir Isaac Newton and the bubble, South Sea bubble. He himself got into it. He said that he can calculate the motion of heavenly bodies, but hard to calculate the madness of people. The madness of people is it the people who, if you're bearish, they got really bearish. If you're bullish, they got really bullish. We might be on the really bearish side where everyone is bearish. So let's see. This is no doubt that historically there is no doubt that historically high inflation, rising interest rates, and the onset of quantitative tightening policies are strong negative factors affecting tech and growth stocks. So as we discussed, inflation, high rates, QT, and war, all of these are causing supply line pressures and other problems, which supply line problem causing inflation. All of these problems are having its effect on the growth stocks, the tech stock. This uncertain, unfavorable outlook is compounded by the risk of economic recession in the US, UK, and the continental Europe. But tech में दिक्कत इसलिए है because most of the business come from these countries. However, sometimes easy to overlook the extent to which tech already shapes and in the future will shape even more all aspects of daily life in society. अब वो तभी जब मैंने वो 2002 का फॉल या 2008 का फॉल जो मैंने आपको दिखाया, अब और तब में बहुत डिफरेंस है. हाउ IT impacts us, what kind of companies were then versus what kind of companies are now, what kind of impact in 2000 was or 2007 8 was on our lives versus what it is now, what kind of innovation these companies are doing now versus then. It's very different. So if you think 1970, 2002, 2008, and 2019 were all similar, and this one is also similar, then I don't think that's the right way of looking at it. From healthcare to financial services, from entertainment to and transportation to robotics and artificial intelligence, to name just a few obvious areas of application. The volatility at times even extreme will remain. It is intrinsic to these kinds of stocks. So volatility in stocks में हमेशा रहेगी. ये पार्ट है, तभी इनको ग्रोथ स्टॉक्स कहते हैं, बिकॉज ये डाउनवर्ड में गिरते भी ज्यादा है और अपवर्ड ट्रेंड में बढ़ते भी ज्यादा है. Maybe one risk, the risk of jumping into a treacherous wave of South Sea and being submerged by them. So risk तो इनमें हमेशा रहेगा. However, it is equally likely current market condition offer an opportunity to buy great established companies as well as more adventurous one at what seems to be good prices, provided one is ready to ride the volatility, hold the nerves and remain investing for the long term. So ट्रेडिंग के लिए हमने बात की. ट्रेडिंग के लिए फैक्टर्स आपको मैंने बताया कौन से फैक्टर्स हैं जिससे इम्पैक्ट होता है, what factors impact and where they are currently. For investing, these can be opportunities to go in, build a portfolio of IT stocks, but you need to understand that madness, the risk of volatility, there's risk uh, of crowds, both on the upside ऊपर कि we feel कि are they worth it, and sometimes they go down that much and we feel are they worth it, so worth to sell at this point. So that's a decision that you need to take. But if you are comparing 2008 versus 2020, 22, then I don't think it's, or 2002 versus 22, the dot-com bubble versus this, different. It's not the same. It's not the same. The last slide, I'll leave it with this. The outlier is inflation and its impact on the interest rate. I made a tweet. I end this session with this tweet, and we'll see how this thing materializes. So, मैंने tweet की थी. The world is expecting a rise in inflation, but the quantitative indicators are pointing towards a fast cool off in inflation. I will go with the latter than the former. So everyone is expecting increase in inflation, बट क्वांट इंडिकेटर्स आर पॉइंटिंग कि इन्फ्लेशन कम होगी. अगर इन्फ्लेशन कम होगी तो इंटरेस्ट रेट इंक्रीज का प्रेशर कम होगा. अगर इंटरेस्ट रेट प्रेशर कम होगा तो stocks, IT and growth stocks are going to be a good bet going forward. So this is from me from the knowledge series of Outlook. I hope you like the video. If you like the video, press a like and subscribe to the channel. And I'll try to bring more videos like this in the future. I'll see you around. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.